Hello,
Hey,
we'll
Sean.
begin with Arnie Stapleton, Associated Press. Go ahead, Arnie.
Hey, Sean.
Perfect.
From a layman's perspective, it sure seemed like there was a seamless transition from Alex to Cody Barton. I'm wondering if you could share with us your assessment of that, how the defense did, especially Cody and Justin.
Yeah, I think it would be more Alex to Justin because Cody had kind of stayed in the same position he'd been playing. I mean, Cody had the green dot, but other than that, yeah, look, those guys stepped up. It's always difficult when you lose someone who's been as productive and certainly one of the team leaders, and was proud of the way those young guys played.
Mike Kliss, 9 News. We'll skip over Mike and go to Zach Stevens of DNVR.
Hey, Coach. Wanted to see if you thought that being in West Virginia and the team bonding helped the team win yesterday.
Well, generally speaking, when you win a game, there's probably 30, 40 different factors. I thought how we tackled helped us win. I thought our ability to run the football in the second half helped us win. Do I think it made more sense for us to stay on the Eastern time zone and have less travel? Yes. And so now, where does that rank into all the other? But I think that it's not an unusual schedule. In fact, it's fairly unusual we hadn't done that. There are a lot of teams, San Francisco, if you get 2 East Coast games and if it makes sense. And so, if that comes up again, we'll figure out the location. But it just reduces the travel, and then it's better for sleep, and then it's better for schedule. And look, all off season, we didn't play well. One of the things Greg and I talked about relative to this upcoming schedule, how do we play better on the Eastern time zone? And you just have to look at that and maybe think outside the box. So it could have been the Greenbrier, could have been it was important it was in the Eastern time zone. So I think it was one of the 30 things maybe that helped. Yes.
Mike Kliss.
Yeah, Sean. A couple years ago, or in the couple years you've been with this team, you pretty much rebuilt the defensive line. Can you just talk about, how you attacked that, what you saw when you came in, and what you have now? Because it looked like they pretty much dominated the game yesterday.
I think we won that battle up front. I think on both sides that was important. And yeah, I think it's been a combination of players that have been here, been a combination of players that George and I felt like could help us bring here, and then getting the leadership and production from certain guys that look, we're playing with energy. It's hard to sack Aaron. You guys know that he's real good with his release, and to have 5 sacks is unusual in a game. And again, we felt like they're a pretty good rushing team too going in, and we saw that a year ago. So I was pleased with our ability to win those little battles.
Parker Gabriel, The Denver Post.
Yeah, Sean, several of your offensive linemen have talked early in the year about feeling like games rest on their shoulders and them taking on that responsibility. And I'm curious, the last 2 games, what has been, more productive from that group, and how much of your success running the football do you directly attribute to that unit particularly playing better?
Yeah, look, I think each week we really, after that first 2-week start, wanted to really begin to look at, like, all right, it starts with us as coaches. What are the things that we feel like we do well, particularly rushing the football? What are the things maybe we don't do as well? What RPOs do we like? Which ones do we not like? And and then who are we asking, to do these things? And so I thought Javonte and Jaleel played well yesterday, and I thought, look, Minor's got a game ball. I thought we were physical. It was a messy first half. It was difficult with the conditions, and yet that's just the way that game unfolded. And so, I think that's still a work in progress. And look, I want it to rest on their shoulders too, especially late in the game. We have a chance late in the game, really, with the final play on third down before we attempt the field goal. We can ice it there with the quarterback, kind of crack sweep, and we just didn't get the blocks we needed. But we're building on that, and I think it's going to be important for us going forward.
Andrew Mason, the fan.
Sean, Bo Nix hasn't been sacked in the last 2 games. How much of that is protection? How much is it about Bo Nix's own attributes in the pocket?
Probably a little both. I think the sack statistic, by and large, is more a quarterback statistic than an offensive line statistic. There's some quarterbacks that are more difficult to protect forward, some that aren't. We saw all the time on college tape, he was someone that got rid of the ball. It'd become frustrating to rush, if you will, because of his ability to throw it away or to flush and find an answer or an incompletion. But it's something that he's done well throughout his career. And then certainly the offensive line. I mean, that's a pretty good front we just played. There were a handful of matchup concerns, protection issues that we discussed. And, if you said to me when the game ended he was not going to have any sacks and Aaron would have 5, I would have felt that was a little challenging.
Delala, DenverBroncos.com.
Hey, Coach, Bo was talking yesterday about the type of trust you've got to have in your receiver on a route like the dagger he hit to Courtland on third down. Just wondering how you've seen that connection between him and Courtland develop over the first month of the season here.
Yeah, look, they've thrown that type of play, 40 times, let's say, between minicamp, OTAs, and so Courtland, provides that size and sure hands. You have to get the right coverage look. There's a handful of ways we run it. But you like anything else, if you repeat something and you get more and more comfortable with it, then it becomes a play you like and it becomes one of your favorites. Then you get to it in a critical situation. That was a big drive. Obviously, that was an important drive for us to kind of take it from our end and convert there and then go on to score a touchdown. But I think that confidence level will continue to grow, and it's important that it grows. It's important that it grows with other route combinations.
Chris Thomason, the Gazette.
Yeah, hey, Sean, you guys obviously have been getting a bunch of sacks lately, and they've been coming from all over, defensive line, inside linebacker, outside linebacker, safety. How difficult is that making it on opposing quarterbacks that they're coming from all over the place?
I think it is challenging. Tampa was a little that way team-wise, where, man, you put the film on, and I remember saying to Davis and Joe, let's make sure when Bo puts this tape on early in the week, he doesn't get just, overwhelmed with all the different pressure looks. And then what you hope by the end of the week is it can become more calming, and then you can begin to recognize maybe patterns that come from it. And nonetheless, to your question, on game day, you don't know when. And then when you walk up and then come out of it and play coverage, you've all of a sudden softened your protection a little because they were preparing for it. Not often you fool a guy like Aaron, and yet I think PJ has a sack yesterday that that he wasn't expecting, a free rusher. And so there's just an attrition with it. Now, that being said, there are also, we felt offensively, there are also then opportunities it presents. And so I think Vance has done a good job of picking those opportunities, and then also just as frequently showing maybe and getting out into some other looks. But certainly it's unsettling.
Parker Gabriel.
Hey, Sean, I just wanted to check in today. There was an NFL Network report that Tyler Bidet had traveled back with the team, and just wondered if there was anything you were willing to share on that today.
Yeah, no, he didn't come back with the team, but he came back commercially later in the evening. We're still evaluating him now. He's doing better. Everyone that's reached out, we appreciate the concerns. And fortunately, he was able to come back before the day ended.
Nick Kosmider, The Athletic.
Yeah, Sean, you mentioned tackling a minute ago, and at least anecdotally, it seems like you've gotten really good play in that particular facet from your secondary. Forced fumbles from defensive backs each of the last 2 weeks, and I'm just curious how much, as you've built this secondary, how much is that a trait that you've really been kind of trying to build around?
I think 2 questions here. First, going into this game, we knew the game would be played a little bit more in space based on what they do offensively. And one of the 3 keys to victory defensively, one of them was tackling in space. It's different. When you're tackling in tighter quarters, you have smaller areas to run, confined, restricted running lanes. In space, not so much. And so, our angles, inside out, our technique, all of that had to be on point. And then per your second question, there's takeaways and there's turnovers. And the turnovers, are the balls maybe thrown to you that you're in the right spot. You get an interception, or the ball comes out of the quarterback's hand. And then the takeaways are the caused fumbles, the strip sacks, the punch outs. We've seen those, and that's something we continue to really work on. I think there's some teams that are better than others with it, and then it kind of becomes contagious. You put the boxing gloves on the DBs, and they're always looking for that opportunistic punch out. We'll do turnover studies relative to who we're playing. Some ball carriers are more prone for a downward punch on the ball or an upward punch, based on how they're carrying it. So that's begun a little bit, and that's exciting. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Coach.